Alright gang, we back on the old 408 stroker. It's assembly time, gang. Time to get everything put together and get it ready for when the converter comes, so we can go ahead and drop it in the car and put fire in the hole. So one of the first things I'm gonna show y'all here when you're dealing with a stroker is this windage. Now don't go into panic mode, Box Chevy man. This ain't nothing but the windage tray. So I cleaned it off and reuse it. There's no need to buy a new windage tray. It's nothing but a piece of metal and it's gonna get the job done. It don't need to be shiny, because once it go in that oil, it's gonna get dyed quicker than Willie Rebuild put that caution in his hair, baby, and turn it back black again. So what I'm finna show y'all is, this a 4-inch crank in here. So when you sit your windage tray down with the stock settings, you can see you got minimum clearance in there. And when you turn this engine over, you can hear it hitting the windage tray. You hear it? So the thing that you can do for that is, you can buy a windage tray, but they sell a 4-inch a windage tray for 4-inch cranks. But the problem with that is, sometimes that tray won't work with your oil pan. So a simple trick for that, to save your money, because those windage trays can get expensive, is you get your 1/4-inch spacer. And these here, I had to drill them out a little bit, but you put your 1/4-inch spacer right there on your bolts where your windage tray sit, and you put one on each bolt, and that's gonna give you the clearance that you need to clear your crank. And that's all you gotta do, gang. Drop your washer, or you can buy the spacer. They sell a little 1/4-inch spacers. They like 30 bucks, but these washers was free. And I don't see a problem with this. My boy run the same thing in his stroker. Take it out to the track every weekend and race it, and don't have an issue. And as you can see on the back of this, because this is the back of the motor, on the back of your windage tray it say rear. So now when we come back and spin our engine over, as you can see, we got clearance, gang. So that's one trick you want to do. First trick, when you're putting this, put your 4-inch crank in, you're gonna have to make modification to get your windage tray to fit. And now, let me go ahead and show y'all this. Why I did it this way, because I know it's gonna work. So when we sit our oil pan on, let me get my, there we go. There we go, got it lined up with the bow holes. And as you can see, when you sit your oil pan down, it's clearing the windage tray. So that's the way you do it. I mean, you can buy the windage tray for 4-inch cranks, but sometimes you have to do modifications to the windage tray when you use the 4-inch windage tray for 4-inch cranks. You still have to modify the tray to get it to work, depending on the oil pan you're using. And as I told y'all in the last video, you can see the depth in this pan. This is a 302-1 Holly pan, and this the pan you're gonna have to use with your stroker, and it should still give me good clearance on the frame of the car, the cross member. So that's where we at right now. I gotta make a run to Summit and get my timing chain kit, get my head gaskets, my head bolts, and all that good stuff, and start putting everything together, gang. So I'm gonna cut y'all back on in a minute once I go and get the rest of my parts. All right, gang, we back. Went ahead and picked up a few more parts for the stroker. Went ahead and put the new timing set in. New melon oil pump in it. Got my gaskets here. New front timing cover gasket, rear seal, all pan gasket, head gaskets. Don't forget, when you bore your cylinders out, you need to go with a bigger head gasket. So that's a 4.030 bore for the 4.30 bore that I got on the stroker motor. Also went ahead and just got it sitting on there right now. One of my CNC heads, as you can see, rectangular port. They done been fully CNC'd. They got new valves in them. I don't want to pick that one up. I'll get another one and pick up. But it's brand new out the box. As you can see, got the box sitting right there. And as y'all can see, y'all may not know, this head was a used heads that I sent out to see Texas Speed, and as you can see, they did a beautiful job seeing them. That's right, you gotta know how to budget, baby. Could've went got a set of $3,000 heads, but he planned on going with a LSA later on down the line. So these heads will work pretty good with the LSA. If he was just running straight motor, could have upgraded and went with a aftermarket head, but these here get the job done, gang. That's right, getting the stroker mode underway. But that's not what we gonna work on today. What we gonna work on today is the Monte Carlo, because we gotta get the Monte Carlo home. And as you can see right here on the floor, I got the 4000 converter. He just dropped off to me, sent it back to Circle D and let them restall it. So what they do is, when they restall it, is they cut it open, cut this well open, open the converter up and change the stall speed in it, and then weld it back together and send it out. So that's one advantage when you're dealing with good company, more expensive converter. You know, some of those cheaper converters you buy at a company, they won't take the converter back to modify it. You'll just have to buy another converter. So that's what I'm getting ready to do now. We finna get the Monte Carlo jacked up. Gotta go get the stands from back down to the dump so I could jack the Monte Carlo up and get the trans and the converter back in it so we can get back to the business. And as you can see, I don't know if y'all can see on camera that I dumped some fluid in there already, but just in case y'all can't see, I'm gonna dump a little, put a little more in there. There y'all go, y'all see it going in there. You wanna always lube that converter up with some transmission fluid. That way when you start it up, it's not starting up dry. So that's what I'm gonna do today. We're gonna get this converter back in the Monte Carlo, transmission back in the Monte Carlo, and get it back in traffic. That should fix my problem with the converter being tight. Hopefully the converter come in today for the box Chevy sometime soon this week, so I can get this engine sit in the car. And that's why I won't work on the Monte Carlo today, because I can't move it because it don't have the trans in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this done. I'm gonna jack the car up, bring y'all under there with me a little while and let y'all see what's going on, and we'll get everything buttoned back up and get him back in traffic, baby. Yes, sir. Let me get the jack stands and get it jacked up, and I'll cut y'all back on in a minute. All right, gang, so I got the car jacked up, as y'all can see. I also went ahead and put the converter in the transmission. Make sure your converter seated all the way back in the transmission. That way you won't have no problem and damage your pump inside the transmission when you crank it up and try to drive it. Another thing, show y'all a little trick that I do. When you install these converters, don't forget to install your shims. Now, they sent another pack of shims with it. I kept the shims and bolts from the other one. Well, from that one, from when they first sent it. But they sent another pack of bolts and the shims to go with it. So I'll hold on to them because I still have the shims that I took out of it and the bolts, which is right here. Now, one trick that I do when installing these converters, you're gonna have your shims trying to get this one off. I don't want to come off. But what I do is, it's kind of stand on there. I have to turn it with two hands to get it off. But what I do is, when I'm installing these shims, I take a little Permatex, rub on one of the shims, and then smash the other one on top. Let them sit for about 10 or 15 minutes till it get sticky to stay on there, and that help you when you're trying to get the shims in between the converter and the flex plate, because when you're trying to get them in there, you'll be fighting with the two and keep dropping them. So it's easier to put them both in at the same time. So I put a little Permatex on them to make them stay together and help me get them in there. Another good idea, when you're doing your swap, is to think ahead a little bit. So as you can see, I got a V-band on this exhaust just for this specific purpose. If you had to take the transmission out, if you just get the pipe welded directly to the header, you will have to cut the pipe off to get the transmission out and then get the exhaust welded back in. So I put a V-band in it, and that way I can release the clamp on the V-band and drop the exhaust down, as you can see. So I got the transmission up on a jack. I don't really want to set the tripod up under here because I'm gonna have to put the lights and all that under here, and I don't really need that. I can put a couple of bolts in here get it up, put a couple of bolts in here right quick and get it together real quick because it's real hot in the shop today. So let me go ahead and jack it up, get it bolted up, and I'll cut y'all back on in a second. And one more thing I want to tell y'all. With these LS engines, you gotta make sure that you put the LS bolts back in the transmission, in the engine, especially when you got an aluminum block. Because if you try to use like those conventional motor bolts, they'll go in there, but then they'll back out of there once the transmission get a little pressure on it when you're driving it, and you'll strip the hose out. So make sure when you putting the transmission onto your engine that you're using LS bolts, the transmission bolts that's for LS, and not your conventional motor, gang. Just a little tip and trick to help you out, stop you from fucking your shit up. So let me get this transmission up, and I'll cut y'all back on in a minute, gang. Alright, gang, so we back. I knew I went ahead and skipped through a lot. It's actually a couple of days later. I had this transmission finished up the same day I started recording. But as y'all can see, everything is back bolted in and hooked up and looking nice and pretty. 4,000 converter is in. I went out and took it for a ride. Everything is shifting good. It's stalling up on the converter a lot better. It's leaving harder because the car is not choked up because the converter is tight. Now, one other problem that I got before the Monte Carlo go home, well, two, but one is not really a problem. One is small. It's easy for me to take care of. But let's see if I can show y'all the problem that I'm having. And I know exactly what it is. So let's see what the temperature. Right now the car at about 94 degrees. And basically the car is cool. At cold, it'll be at about 85 degrees. That's what it was when I first came in here. And I started it up, showing my buddy the problem. Now this red light up here on top of the engine light, that's for the brakes. I need to bleed the brakes. We might wind up having to put a vacuum pump on the car to give it more vacuum, because the cam is not making a lot of vacuum at idle, but the brakes work pretty good. At times they hard. I'm gonna bleed them down one more time and see if I can get it to act right. If not, we'll have to install a vacuum pump. But that's not the problem that I want to talk about. The problem that I'm having is when the car is cold like it is right now, and you start the car up like I'm finna do, soon as you shift the car into gear, it died. So let me show y'all that real quick. So right now it didn't do it because the engine got a little heat in it. But usually when I crank it up, when it's cold, I done started it a couple of times, like I see showing my buddy. But usually when the car is cold, it'll die. And man, I've been chasing this problem around and checking everything. So I would have liked it to get it to do it on camera. It just did it when my buddy was here. I was showing it to him. So basically what the problem is, the problem is in the tune. I don't know where he got the IAC set at when the car is cold, because when we went to get the car tuned, we drove it over there, and I was kind of thinking that it was the converter, which it did get a lot better once we put the looser converter in it, but it still would do it. I even changed the alternator and shit because I seen like the voltage was dropping, but the idle dropping too. So what I did, I put this computer in there, and the problem immediately went away. while the car was cold. I crunk it up, put it in gear, and the car immediately died with this computer, because this is the ECU that's tuned. This the tune that we had with it on the dyno. And this computer right here, this was the original computer I had in it, but we was having a problem with the file in the trans where the car would like speed shift from 1 to 4 gear. So we couldn't get that situated, so I wind up just changing the computer. But this computer here had the bass tune in it for the car. So when I came in here last night and put that computer in the car while it was ice cold, the car immediately idled and everything while it was cold and not die out like it tried to do the first time when I started it. But like I say, the engine got a little heat in it, so that's why it didn't die. But usually, man, the car die out all the way until it get up to like 160 degrees, and then it'll idle on its own without dying. But that's it. Once I fix that, bleed the brakes, the Monte Carlo is getting out of the shop. It's done. I'm ready to see it go. It's been a long journey. Before it leaves, I clean it up under the hood. I might get this another coat of paint, clean it down good, retape everything up, and give it another coat of black paint. Let's go to the dunk now, because the dunk is finna be right behind it. The dunk about to get out of here too. Dunk, man, I got you. I've been working on it, baby. So as you can see, I went ahead and installed my return line for my power steering. I went and got the correct fittings, and also I made the pressure line too. But I'm not going to use that pressure line because I've been having some of those lines where they would bust, blow out of the fitting and all that goofy stuff. So I'm only using this line here for a reference, so I could take it to the whole shop and get them to make me a high pressure line for the power steering, but it's gonna be AN6, kind of like the one I got over here on the Monte Carlo, because I haven't been using that AN stuff on the power steering because I had a couple of them break. As you can see right here, that's the way the line will look. I use the AN line for the return, and then I get the high pressure line made by the whole shop. Another thing I got for you, Dunk, man, I got you, let me see if I can get some light here. Let me get some light back there so you can see. Just got your dry shaft from the dry shaft shop, baby. That's right. Let me see if I can plug this in with one hand. And get you some light up under there so you can see what you're working with here, baby. Let's jack the car up a little bit. Like I told y'all, this dry shaft was a pain in the ass. Had to order some parts to get it to work. But as you can see, custom dry shaft, brand new. Brand new slip yoke, brand new tube. And then we got this piece on the back that the don't come with from the factory, but that's a new one because the other one wasn't machined to take the locking clips in it. So if you're in DFW and you want to know What Willie Rebuild go to get the drive shaft made? There you go right there. Just gave them some free advertisement. I took the exhaust pieces, the little down pipes to the exhaust shop to get them made, but the exhaust shop was closed today, so I got them in my truck. And in case y'all want to know how much that drive shaft costs, there you go right there. And there go the part list, the label, and everything you need to know. So the only thing I got left on the dump is the AC line. I need to put the oil in it. And I need to run my compressor wire, which I'm probably about to do that today off camera. It's not nothing to run. I think I got the wire tucked back there somewhere for it. And I need to run a ground to it, to the compressor and the wire from inside the car. But other than that, the only main thing I gotta do is figure out the situation that I'm gonna do with how I'm gonna do the lines. I'm gonna have to get those made. I'm gonna get a fitting, and we about to get some oil in the dump and some transmission fluid, and we about to go ahead and bring the dump on the dyno. The dump and the Monte Carlo, I'm about to have them up out of here, gang. It's Willie Rebuild, knocking them out slowly but surely. Got the 408 right there under the bag, wrapped up, and I'm about to finish knocking that out. Like I say, I'm getting them done slowly but surely. Once they leave, they ain't coming back. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It's Willie Rebuild, over and out, baby.